Hello everyone and welcome back once again to the channel. As of yesterday, the team at Fly By Wire released their highly anticipated Airbus A380 for Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. It has been a long time coming, but we finally got our hands on this beautiful aircraft, and on Hallows Eve of all times. In today's video, I'll be showing you guys how to get the A380 from a cold and dark state to ready for taxi in under 5 minutes. So without any further ado, let's jump straight into the flight deck. Here we are inside the rather spacious flight deck of the A380. As with any aircraft, the first thing you'll want to do is establish electrical power to the aircraft. So to do that, you have to go to the overhead panel and set all of the batteries to on. From there, if you have the ground power unit plugged into the aircraft and the avail lights are illuminated, you can go ahead and push all 4 of the external power buttons. The SOP that is provided by Fly By Wire states that you should press the external power buttons in the order 2, 3, 1 and then 4 to make sure that the start times of the display units are as short as possible. Now that the aircraft is powering up, we can also start up the APU to get some air conditioning as well. First you need to press the master switch and wait for the flap open message to appear on the MFD. Then you can go ahead and press the start button. While the APU is starting up, you can continue with the overhead flows. Starting with the crew supply, this can be set to on. Above that, all the addons switches need to be set to the nav position. Not sure if this is also the case in the A380, but in the A320, it is good practice to set the switches in the order left, right, center, because the rightmost switch is the one for System 2. And so by doing it in this specific order, you'll make sure that you don't switch off the wrong system in an emergency. Moving on, you can set the strobe lights to auto and the nav lights to on. The no mobile sign can go to auto. And if the aircraft has been fueled already, the seatbelt sign can go on as well. You should also arm the emergency exit lights. After that, make sure the engine start selector is in a normal position. And by this time the APU should be up and running, so the APU bleed can go on as well. Above the electrical panel you can set the trim tank feed switches to on, and then turn on all of the fuel pumps. That should be all for the overhead panel for now. Moving down to the pedestal, you should make sure the parking brake is on. And then on the EFIS panel you can set the local altimeter setting. If you don't know what this is, then you can also press B and the sim will set it for you. At this point you would normally program your flight plan into the flight management system. However, I'm going to show you guys how to do this in a separate video very soon. So suppose that you fully programmed the FMC and set up the autopilot panel. You would now be ready to push back from the gate and start your engines. To do so, turn on the beacon lights and disengage all the external power switches. Make sure that all the ground equipment has been removed. And once the pushback has started, you can set the engine start switch to ignition start. In the A380, you can power up 2 engines at a time. Which ones you start first is dependent on the operator, so you are free to choose. We'll go ahead and start with the left engines by setting the master switches to on. After that, all that is left to do is to monitor the engine indications, and once the avail message appears, you can go ahead and start the remaining 2 engines. Now once all the engines are running, you can go back to the overhead panel and set the engine start switch back to normal. The APU bleed can be turned off at this point. And after that, the APU master switch. And there you go, you should now have an aircraft that is fully ready to be taxied to the runway. And that's going to be it for this video. Like I said earlier, I am planning on making a separate video on how to program the flight management system, as this topic deserves a whole video on its own. So definitely stay tuned for that. If you found this quick start guide helpful, then be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel as well. For now, enjoy the A380 and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.